That is why you see Kikuyus having a problem with pronouncing such a name, because we actually don't have the letter L in our language. Hi everyone. At the entrance of the temple of Apollo, there was a sign written up there. Know thyself. This memorable expression came to my mind a few months ago when, after giving a Form 1 a leave-out sheet, he came back to me claiming that I had misspelled his name. His name is Nderito and I had written his name in this manner. But he came back to me telling me that the correct way of writing his name is this way. I looked at the boy and I had some mixed feelings, although sadness was the overwhelming feeling. Sad because here was a 14-year-old young man who didn't know himself. But the good thing is that I understood him, and instead of condemning him, I offered him a little lecture where I educated him on how our people write. I told him that actually, even the way I had written his name, I had still technically misspelled it, and the correctest way was Nderito. I was able to do this because during my formative years in school, nursery up to standard 2, we were exclusively taught in my mother tongue. But this young man is not alone. There is a huge population, especially among my people, the Kikuyu people, who actually don't know themselves. I see people on the internet, some of them very close relatives of mine, donning such names as Waboi, Wajiko, Wageshi, Wajiro, Waidera, Gatimo, Getao, Kafiro, Kairo, Gige, Jao, Duo, all of them completely misspelled. I believe you can fail to know everything else in this world, but at least know yourself. You may also fail to know a few things about yourself, such as which career to go for, the best partner to marry, which car to buy, but at least know your name. For Christ's sake, it is literally the very first thing that you know in this world, and there is no excuse in not knowing it. But who is to blame in all this? I believe it is the parents. But what if the parents themselves don't know? For instance, the Kikuyus born in the Rift Valley, and even some in Central Province, may not know some of these things that I'm talking about here. And I really can't blame them, because perhaps they never had the privilege of being taught in their mother tongue, like I had. I still remember when we moved to Kitale, and our class teacher was Mr. Simiu, and I wrote on my book, Mr. Simiu, and I was collecting my deskmate, Kennedy Otieno, from the ground. He was laughing at me so much because he did not know. Who in this world does not know how to write the name Simiu? But you cannot blame me because it was my very first time interacting with such a name, or interacting with the Luhya names at such a large scale. It is the same thing that happens in our hospitals when children are born and given the wrong names right after coming into this world. For the other communities in Kenya, they wouldn't know that the correctest way of writing the name Wamboi is this way. And given that the O in the name is a special character that is not common in the vowels other than among Mount Kenyans, then the closest to that should be U and not O. For anybody who may want to argue this information, consider the name Boro. No one writes it with an O for obvious reasons. And that is what is normal in the world of naming. If a certain letter is missing or a special character is missing in one language, you use the closest in that other language. In conclusion, this issue of naming is something that we should really discuss, especially among my Kikuyu people. It is really a pity to see somebody, an adult perhaps, who doesn't know him or herself. It is one thing for Andrew Kibe to write on his cape, Kefe, because that is how the name is read. But it is a completely different thing for him not to know that the name is written as Kibe, although read as Kefe. Because in our language, we don't actually have the letter F, and the letter B is read as F. The same goes to names such as Shiko, Shosho, Nimo, Shiro, among others. It is one thing for one to write the names in a common way that perhaps other communities would understand, but it is a completely different thing for one not to know the correct spelling of such names. The reason for this is because the Kikuyu language is written in a Latin alphabet. It does not use the letters L, F, P, Q, S, V, X, and Z, and adds the letters A and O. That is why you see Kikuyus having a problem with pronouncing such a name, because we actually don't have the letter L in our language. Thank you so much. I'm out.